Okay, here we go. Hello. This is YouTube. Hello. Hmm. Amanita muscaria. I don't know if you'll feel very much. Hmm. I don't know why I'm not getting comments from. Hmm. Here I am. Oops. Yeah. As we get started, some ASMR. Nice. Good stuff. We're going to see why I'm only receiving comments from YouTube. What is going on? Oh, I guess we're screwed. Oh well. Let us erase this. Let me get this camera set up correctly. Oh, there's turbulence. There's turbulence. There we are. Now, well, I guess we'll just have to switch off every so often. Okay, let's get something going on here. Let me put on some tunes real quick. Well, there we go. That should be good. You can all hear me correctly, yes? We'll check. All right. Here we go. Okay. Oh, what's going on? Oh, here we are. Amazing. Okay. I love you all. Um, something this. Thank you for your patience. Okay. What is going on? Okay. Okay. All right. Looking like we're good. Let me see. Let me make this bigger. Very nice. Okay. Who am I? I am Ray. What is going on? I don't know. Yeah, I'm trying to work the camera. Was there a specific moment where identification with the story ego was seen to fall away? I'm guessing you're asking me about my awakening experience. We'll start here. Hmm. How to awaken? Realizing you are not your ego. That is what awakening means. Because when you're identified with the ego, you're in the matrix. That's what the whole movie was about. That all human beings live in this illusion. We think reality is one way, but it's not. What is the illusion? So, one of the biggest spiritual truths, or one of the main spiritual truths, is that we all one. Everything is energy. The universe is one divine intelligence evolving itself through an infinite array of different forms. So, and even scientifically, this is. Hold on, my microphone is slipping. Not good. Too much abundance. Sorry. Let me just Not sponsored. Not yet. Okay. Where were we? Sound is not working. Is it working or not? Oh, that was this before. Okay. So the highest spiritual truth is that we're all one. Scientifically speaking, the Earth and everything on it is made of the same star dust. What are stars? Energy. Everything is energy. Now, we don't need to get too deep into it, but the truth is that we are all one. So illusion is separation. And if you think about this for a moment, everybody you've ever known, yourself, and most people you will ever meet, they believe themselves to be a separate person. Here I am, here are you. We're all here, but we're all separate, unique individuals. And in the illusion, this is true. But it's an illusion because, if you look at an elephant, oh, well, that's an elephant. Or you look at a tree, and that's a tree. But you take a step back and you realize, oh, wait a minute. No, it's all star dust. It's just energy vibrating at different frequencies of existence. So we see the forms, the unique forms, but we're blinded that everything is connected, everything is one, and that there is no such thing as separation. And what creates the illusion of separation? It's the ego, it's the mind. Now, it's not a bad thing. It gives us the sense of free will and individuality, which is great sometimes. But when you're super attached to your ego, when you really believe that you are your ego, you fall into suffering because you become separated from the truth. And the more you're attached to your ego, the more suffering you experience. So look at it this way. Think about heaven. Heaven is truth. Hell is illusion. All evil is created by ignorance. And I like to say heaven is synonymous with union, and hell is synonymous with separation. Now, we can take this a few places. Separation from and union with God. So God up here. You're separated from God, you're in hell. We can also call God just life itself. And so life is the source of all joy, peace, and love. When you're connected to life, you feel amazing, you feel alive. You're just in love. Love is the nature of life. And when you're disconnected from life, you experience suffering. Because, well, what is separation from joy, peace, and love? Not good. And the more you're cut off from life, guess what? The closer you get to death. Hell. That's what they call it in the religious terms. Hell is eternal death. Heaven is eternal life. And so, basically, the more you're attached to your ego, the more you're stuck in an illusion, the more you go to hell. Think about an evil person, like a psychopath. They murder somebody else, but that's ignorance. Because everything that you do to somebody else, you're also doing to yourself. Because we're all connected. So the only reason you would willingly hurt another person is because you're living in ignorance. And then, well, you have to experience all the pain that you've caused others. Because it's like, be no different than like cutting your hand. Except for you just believe that you're hurting another person. But you're actually hurting yourself. That's why, like on the planet, if we're destroying the planet, it's because of our ignorance. You cannot destroy the planet without also destroying humans. But we think we could just take advantage of the planet and rule everybody. But that's not how it works. The point is, the whole spiritual path is becoming free from the illusion, becoming free from suffering. All the religions talk about it. In Christianity, it's called salvation, finding the kingdom of God. For the Vikings, it was Valhalla. For the Buddhists, it's nirvana. For the Hindus, it's moksha, liberation, all the same thing. You find the truth, and the truth will set you free. Free from illusion, free from ignorance, free from death and suffering. It's really simple. It's just, I don't know. So basically, the moment you wake up, the moment you recognize you're not the ego, must be done through, well, this realization. So when you break reality down to the two fundamental elements, there are an infinite array of changing experiences upon the backdrop of an unchanging awareness. There are objects of your experience, and there is you, the subject, aware of your experiences, of the objects. When you go out into your daily life, an infinite array of changing experiences. When you go to sleep at night in the dream state, another infinite array of changing experiences. And the deep sleep state, another changing experience. How do you know this? Because you wake up and have more changing experiences. But are you not there the whole time? Let me make sure my audio is still good. Okay. Well, good. No matter what you experience, no matter what you observe, whatever that is, it cannot be the real you. It's like I look at my hand. I know I'm not my hand. My hand's not looking at me. The hand is an object of our experience. So you begin thinking about it. Okay, what else are objects of my experience? And this is a process called self-inquiry. It's asking yourself the question, who am I? Who are you? What are you doing here? So you ask yourself, okay, is my body an object? I hope not. That threw me off track. You discover, okay, my body is an object of my experience. I cannot be my body because I must be the one observing it. Am I my thoughts? Am I the voice inside my head? Well, then who's the one observing the thoughts? Am I my mind? Am I my personality? Can these things be observed? Who am I? And what you come to see is that our whole lives, we've been living from this identification with our changing experiences. Our body changes, we say, I am my body. Our mind changes, our personality changes. So we say, I am my mind, I am my personality. And that is ignorance, that is illusion. Because if you took 90 seconds right now to try to find the person you believe yourself to be, it doesn't exist. The ego is a construct of memory and sense data. It's just a thought that we believe in. Only when we go out and look in the mirror and say, oh, yes, this is who I am. And then everybody else is also telling you, oh, yes, this is who you are. And, that's the whole theme of The Matrix or The Truman Show. We're living in this false reality that we believe with 100% certainty is the truth. But it's not the truth. What you are is the divine. But you have to come to this through your own realization. I can tell you all day that you're the divine. It's not going to make a difference if you don't see it directly. To awaken, you must seek. And you will find. Even with a little bit of curiosity, you'll be led by a higher power. And once you recognize this, once you recognize you're not your thoughts, you're not your ego, your true self can begin to shine forth. Because the ego is like a dark cloud that blocks out the light and the warmth of the sun. And once you realize you're not your ego, you stop feeding it, the clouds begin to disappear. And your true and natural radiance of peace, love, and joy can shine forth once again. Peace, love, and joy are the default state. But because we believe ourselves to be the ego, we spend our whole lives struggling, fighting. But it was always yours the whole time. Think about abundance. We spend our lives slaving away, working jobs we hate. For what? You are the source of abundance. Everything you could have ever desired is already yours. That's the cosmic joke. But because we are ignorant of this, it doesn't matter. If you had a bank account of $1 billion, but you didn't know the password, or you didn't know you had it, are you rich? No, you're not rich. So this is why Christ said, seek first the kingdom of God, because nothing else matters. Everything in this universe is change. So nothing lasts, but what is within you, your true self, is eternal, and that lasts forever. Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Yes. Mm. Mm. Hello, Khalil. Nice to see you again. Let's talk a little bit about grief. Got a good comment? Let's do a little bit of ASMR real quick. Yeah. Mm. Here we go. Cheers. Specifically, how do you help other people with grief? and also yourself? I think the answer is pretty simple. Just be. Oftentimes we try to help people, but people rarely need our help. They just need our presence. They just need us to be there. It's like how you see in relationships all the time. If a woman comes to a man with a problem, immediately the mentality of the man is, let's solve it. Let's do something about it. But I don't think very often the woman actually wants him to solve it. Most people just want to be heard. Most people just want to feel like they're listened to. So it's all about the intentions from which we approach a situation. So one way we can look at it, we do this. It's a very powerful framework. So our state of being influences the way we behave, and the way we act influences what we have. So if somebody's going through a tough time, a difficult experience, or maybe yourself, the pretense from which you approach that situation will influence the result. So if you go with the energy of trying to help somebody, subconsciously, you're projecting onto them a kind of victim identity. So you're saying, I'm here to help you. You are a victim, you are in need of help, and so here I am. And so the first thing you do when you try to help somebody is you put yourself on a pedestal and you lower them. Here, let me help you, you poor thing. And that energy causes a negative result. That's why you see when you give advice or when you try to help people, people rarely ever listen to that. They just put their walls up because on an energetic level, they don't like your projection of being the helper because it's, lowering them. So instead, what we do is we really don't have any expectations at all. We just be present. And what this does, it allows you to meet at the same level, and you open up the space for them to heal, to do whatever they need to do. But the more you get in your mind about it, you kind of messy the situation. So if this person's a mess, you don't want to add more of your mess onto the big mess. You want to be silent. You want to be empty. You want to be present. And you just allow whatever comes forth, whatever words just flow out of your mouth. Allow that to just be as it is. No expectations, no trying, no agenda, just being present. That is the best way to help anybody because you're coming from positive energy, helpful energy, not trying to be helpful energy. And this works in pretty much all situations. But, if we're so desperate to solve a problem, well, guess what? We're coming from desperate energy. So in the attempts to solve one problem, we create like 10 more. And that is why people stay stuck forever. Because this is the slave side of the equation. This is the free side. We spend our lives trying to put out fires, trying to help others, trying to help ourselves. We don't realize that this is the root of the problem. It's our state of being. It's our identity. I think that is good for now. Much love to you all. Wonderful. Thank Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful. Trading or using tobacco. I don't know if I did that. Hmm. 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 Any advice for empaths? Think about everything that people do. Sure thing, my friend. One moment. Hmm. Good one. The favorite word for the empath. New favorite word. Called boundaries. Imagine a crab. Without its shell, it's really vulnerable. It gets picked apart by the birds. It needs the shell to protect itself. Or like a turtle, it's got to go inside the shell. So too, as an empath, you're vulnerable to people's energies. So you got to have strong boundaries and know what you're willing to tolerate and what you're not willing to tolerate. Because, well, if you just allow a negative person in your life, it's almost like because you'll naturally avoid confrontation, you'll make yourself miserable, but you won't be able to say, no, get away from me. So kind of like people pleasing. So you got to kind of take a stand for yourself and say, no, get away from me. And make sure your environment is healthy. Also, they say the clothes you wear make a difference. Like black naturally absorbs other people's energy, and white reflects people's energy. Perhaps. But yeah, this is the number one piece of advice I would have. Hmm. Hmm. Wonderful. Have I ever experienced something supernatural? Hmm. I experienced a UFO once. I was like 12 years old, and I was playing on the computer really up late at night. And I was hungry, and I went to go make some toast. And so I went over by the toaster, put the bread in, and I looked outside. And actually, it was right above the house I'm living in now. I used to live next door. And there was this big craft, like 15 feet above the house, floating above. Let's see if I could draw it. I mean, it was really dark, but let's see. So here I was over here. The UFO was like, such a pretty good visual. So it was really dark up here. It was hard to see. That was much different. It's basically what it was like exactly how you see in the photos and stuff. The UFO. And I had a video camera by my computer. And I was like, okay, I think I'm going to go run and record it, take a picture. And I ran over to the computer, got the camera, came back, and it was gone. And I never really saw another UFO again. One thing I remembered is that as I was leaving, I saw the lights began to turn off one by one. And the interesting thing about the lights was that they were bright, but they weren't illuminating the environment around. And they weren't even glowing. It was just like they were just there. But they weren't having an effect on the outer environment. It was just strange. Back to the void. Oh no. How does one open their third eye? And I wouldn't necessarily try. I would ask yourself why you're trying to open your third eye. What's the point? Get to the root of that, and then really just focus on your spiritual practice. I mean, the third eye is like connected to your imagination, your vision, awareness. It's about connecting deeper to the truth within you. So seek the truth. Embark on the spiritual journey. I mean, don't try to like break open your third eye with a crowbar or something like that. But just, seek God. Good. Leave it like that. Now, when you meditate on your forehead right there. You'll be good. Am I drinking liquid death? Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh, all out. Have to get another one. I am the consumer of death. Good stuff. The more I know, the more I suffer. Yes. But when you go all the way, then you become free from suffering. So you got to just keep going. No more. Do you think humans will ever peak? I'm thinking of Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Dennis Reynolds. We haven't even begun to peak. Why is there so much suffering in the world? Great question. I don't know if you were here earlier, but it ties into this. Why so serious? Why so much suffering? It's really simple. It's like I said earlier. Let's do this real quick. So everything is energy. And energy is frequency and vibration. Think of heaven like the highest frequency. And think of hell like the lowest frequency. And you take all the humans in the world and you put them together. And what you have is a collective consciousness. So it's the collective frequency of all the human beings. Everybody has their own little frequency. If you're low vibes, your life is miserable, you're down here. The lower your frequency is, the more you suffer. The higher frequency you are, the more you feel peace, love, and joy all the time. Now, because everything is energy, our outer reality, because everything is one, our outer reality is a reflection of what is within. So the state of the earth is nothing more than a reflection of a state of the collective consciousness. As the collective consciousness raises, you'll stop seeing a lot of this kind of tragedy and evil and wars and all the negative stuff. So right now we're on like this kind of rocket ship going up and up and up and up. And people say, oh, well, the world's going down the toilet. But the old world has to die in order for the new to be born. So they've been talking about this for forever. It's called the New Earth, in which the collective consciousness has risen in frequency so much that we've entered into this golden age of humanity. Who knows when it's going to come? Soon. I mean, we're in the thick of it. So, but there's going to be a lot of turbulence because, well, birthing pains and the death of the old world can sometimes get ugly. So basically, you might ask, well, how do we raise our frequency? What's going on? And it's simple. Hell is ignorance. Heaven is truth. So it's all about awakening to our true nature. Everything is one, everything is energy. But ego creates separation, illusion, ignorance. It's not wrong to have an ego, but to believe that you are your ego keeps you stuck in ignorance. And the deeper you believe this, the more in hell you are. And really, it's just the balance between these two things. If you want to raise your frequency to the highest, it's all about awareness. That's all. Because awareness is consciousness, and consciousness is the true nature of what you are. Heaven. It's radiance, it's peace, love, and joy. But the opposite of awareness is unconsciousness. So I like to say, unconsciousness is the source of all suffering. But suffering is the root of all enlightenment. So it's just kind of this way that life balances itself out. So our goal is we want to be less unconscious in our lives and be more aware. And in order to do that, we must reflect more. We must embark on a journey of self-discovery. Who are you? Who am I? What are we doing here? Kind of be more curious. And, simple advice, do more things you love. Do more things that bring you joy. Do more things that are fun. And you'll naturally be led to your more authentic self, the true self, your soul. And especially do less things you hate. Bad. Don't do it. Because that lowers your frequency, that lowers your state of being. So it doesn't matter what you think you should be doing. If it's making you miserable, it's growing you closer to hell. Anything that creates suffering in your life lowers your state of being and brings you closer to hell. More suffering. And the rational mind might force you to and say, oh, well, you should be doing this. And if you don't do it, you're a bad person. Well, just from now on, think, okay, is this bringing me love, joy? Is it fun? Is it bringing me peace? If it doesn't do these things, or let's add another element. Will this bring me love, joy, fun, or peace in the future? Then, okay, you can use a bit of discipline. You might not want to go to the gym, but it's going to make you feel a lot better afterwards. So you use discipline to kind of push you, raises your state of being. That's why you feel better afterwards. So be high vibe. And you will save the world. Wow. Mm. The more you suffer, the better the feast. Mm. A little bit of ego is needed to survive in this physical body. Yes. You don't have to get rid of the ego. Just realize that you're not your ego. Have a question? Yes. All questions. Welcome. How to go through the dark night of the soul. The dark night. Korean Batman. How do we do it? I guess the first thing I would say This too shall pass. It's easy when you're in a deeply negative state, when life is falling apart, to believe that it's going to be this way forever. And it's not. Life happens in expansion and contraction phases. Life builds up, life breaks down. Life, death, life, death, life, death. The problem is we judge the contraction phases. We say, no, I don't want this. This is bad. We're attached to our old life. Then the more attached we are to our old life as it's falling apart, the more we will suffer because we will resist life as it is. The more you resist life as it is, the more life drags you along kicking and screaming. Everything is change. And so when you're attached to something and that thing changes, it's like cheese pizza. It's getting ripped apart and melted and not good. You want to be non-attached, or you want to be able to let go and surrender and realize that something better is waiting for you down the line. In order for the new world to be built, your new life, a better life, the old one has to be destroyed. And sometimes that means losing everything. And when you're in it, not fun, not good. What keeps us stuck, though, is we judge ourselves and we judge life. And so we continue to feed the fire of negativity, throwing gasoline on it. And so, you might have normally just went down here, but then you break down and go even further because that negativity snowballs out of control. Just trust life. Allow the old you to die and allow the new you to be born. Surrender. Have faith in life because life is taking care of you always. The more you can surrender, the more you'll flow through life with grace. And then there will be a lot less suffering. Should we get the one here, buddy? Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Today's agenda. I don't know. We'll see. Sun has shades. Of course. The person is an activity, not an independent being. I like that. A mystic I like called Satyaji put this very well. Look at things as verbs, not as nouns. Because what happens is that you look at a tree, for instance, and you say, that's a tree. And as a noun, it's dead. It's just a thing. But that tree is alive. It's a verb. It's treeing. This whiteboard is whiteboarding. As Alan Watts would say, the earth is peopling. Everything is alive. The rocks are rocking. But when we label everything as nouns, it's like we take the juice out of life. It's just things everywhere. So there is really no thing. It's all just a happening, you could say. Mhm. How to know the next step when in stillness? Let's see. You don't really. The next step just happens on its own. Because when you're in stillness, you're not operating from ego. Ego is always doing something. Okay, what's next? What do I got to do? Not that if you become awakened or enlightened, your ego is just going to magically disappear. But when you're rooted in stillness, when you're rooted in the present moment, everything is just a spontaneous flow. Everything just happens. So you're engaging in your daily life, but at the same time, it's just happening. It's like the words in my voice right now. I'm not trying to pick and choose every word. It's just happening. Do I feel like I'm actually talking right now? Well, who is talking? Talking is happening. I'm not forcing it. I don't know what's going on. So just allow whatever's next to be revealed to you. It's like instead of you going outward, trying to do whatever's next, allow life to just tell you. Life will say, do this, do this, do this. But it'll happen so fast in the present moment, you'll just automatically be doing it. So you follow your intuition, you follow this spontaneous urge to do one thing or another. And as you trust that, you see that this is bringing you deeper into harmony with life. And things work out pretty good, at least from my perspective. Might be right about this being pre-recorded. Prove me wrong. You have been proven wrong. The doggy sock. His name is Little Bodhi, but he goes by Booty or Booty or Buddy, depending on his mood. Let me spell it like this. This is his name, the little dog, but you can pronounce it Booty or Buddy. When he's feeling friendly, or you get the idea. Why do we need to meditate? Why is meditation important? Well, I'll tell you. Well, the basic. Focus is where your power is. If you don't have focus, you got no power. Why do most people fail at life? Because they're distracted by a million different things. If you want to be successful in 10-second advice, focus on one thing for a long time until you find results. But to take it a step deeper, to be more advanced, you learn how to focus on God, or you learn how to focus in the present moment. You see, the mind is a one-pointed tool. So we can point it wherever we want. And what we want to do through meditation is we root ourselves in the present moment. You continue to focus on the present moment until you can just stabilize there. You're not getting pulled all over the place by your thoughts and stuff. I mean, think about it. How many people start overthinking and then they get caught in their mind storm and then they spiral into a panic attack? That's not going to happen if you practice focusing in the present moment, because the present moment is a state of no mind. Funny enough. You might say it because, well, it's no mind because you become one with the mind. And when you're one with something, you return to unity, and there is no experience of that thing. In order to experience, you need two. So it seems like how this works is that the mind oscillates from being rooted in the present moment to being in this mind space. And that's where thoughts happen. So here you are out of the present moment, then rooted in the present moment. You're free from the mind. You're free from your thoughts. You're free from your overthinking and your negative thoughts. That's really the secret if you want to become free from all of this mind garbage, is just pay attention to the present moment, however you can. And in order to do this, you have to kind of undo the conditioning of always paying attention to your thoughts. Because if you're always listening to your thoughts, if you're always going down these kinds of, you're hopping on the train of thoughts and they're taking you to nowhere good, to the ghetto, then what you want to do is you start pulling the brakes. Okay, no, I got to get off. And you do that by focusing on the present moment. Because again, the mind can only focus on one thing at a time. If you're not focused on your thoughts, well, then you're not feeding them and you're not dealing with them. So this is like your safe space. No matter what happens in your life, you always have the ability to return to the present moment, and you will be free from suffering. We suffer because of our thoughts. We have a negative situation, and we react negatively to it. And our negative reaction causes negative emotional reactions. But when you're rooted in the present moment, you're not feeding the drama. You're not feeding the psychological storm. So you're not getting flooded with negative emotions. So lots of good reasons to do meditation. Should have put that on the thing. Meditation is the line we lay towards God. Very wise. Very wise. Meditation keeps your third eye in good shape. Very nice. How are you at the awareness of the awareness of the awareness? Well, who is aware of that? Funny enough, nobody has ever asked me. A demonstration. There we are. Oh, a little bit of ASMR. No. I got out the swords. This is they call it Damascus. I got a certificate here somewhere. No, we don't stab myself in the foot. Let me see if I can find the certificate. Okay. Can you see? I'll read it off. Handmade folded steel Maru, Gemini twin Ninjato. I got it at Swords of Northshire. I don't know if they're still in business. Perhaps. What's going on? My friends. Wonderful. Fantastic. Message. Okay. Amazing. Interesting. Yes, yes. Be water, my friend. Yes. Why is our faith tested so much? Isn't understanding enough? There's a difference between knowledge and understanding. And what this means is that, well, knowledge is in your head. Understanding is in your body. So we might think we understand something, but we just know it. And what happens is that during the storms of life, during the difficult situations, having knowledge is like being a tree with shallow roots. You're just going to get blown over. It's not going to help you. It doesn't mean anything. Because when you're deep in the suffering, your mind gets, everything gets like cut out. And you're forced to face the truth of, okay, what's actually helping me in this moment? And for people who are very intellectual, they find that, almost 99% of my knowledge is not helping me right now. You got a few things that you understand, and you hope that it's enough to keep you alive. So knowledge is like having a tree with deep roots. So the reason that our faith is tested is because, well, it's really only through the fire do we know whether or not we truly understand something. So it's not even so much that our faith is tested, it's more that it's being strengthened. Without burdens, without struggle, you don't become strong. It's like going to the gym. You're not going to build your muscles unless you lift some weight. And the heavier lifts you weight, the heavier weights you lift, well, ideally, you'll get even bigger. But God doesn't give you any burdens that are too much for you. God gives you the exact burdens that you need to strengthen your faith in the right amounts. Faith is like a muscle. It has to be built up, but it cannot be built up without challenges, without trials and tribulations. And what you find is that when you really understand, it's like an armor that protects you during the difficult times of life, in which they're not so burdensome anymore. Yes, yes. What happens when we die? Are we food for the moon? I don't know. Hope not. Wonderful. Am I real? Can I read your comments? No, I'm not real. AI generated. Go watch Westworld. Yes. The process of receiving Christ. Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. All right. Okay. Do I consider myself to be a guru? It's a great question. Hmm. Wow. Let me think about that. Now, practically, I understand my role as a teacher, as a spiritual guy on YouTube and the internet. I'm kind of like an anti-guru. I like that. Anti-gur. New word. It's a new trend. The anti-gur. The ants tiger. Hmm. Wow. Ant taiguru. It's a Japanese thing, apparently. That's not how you spell tiger. There we go. I am an ant taiguru. I mean, I'm not trying to be spiritual. I'm not trying to do anything. It's just happening. Is it possible to feel what another is feeling? Yeah, I think that's called being a human being. Hmm. Wow. What if you're being gang stalked by people who follow you from job to job, stop you from working, and you want revenge? You know it's defilement to yourself, but you're struggling. I gotta be careful with this. Mm. You don't need to get revenge, but you gotta protect yourself. Get yourself some swords. And then when they see you, you whip them out. I mean, maybe get a taser or some. You don't necessarily attack them. If they're going to attack you, you got to defend yourself, but you don't need to go out of your way. Just screw them. Don't allow the fear in. But don't put yourself in a vulnerable situation. Mm. Yes. Mm-hmm. What is going on? This is a good question. How do you get out of a cycle of awakening and being pulled back into hell and confusion? Chronic fight or flight. Well, on the awakening journey, basically what's going to happen is that the ego will be the force of resistance. So you'll go through this oscillation phase where you find peace and you get pulled back into ego, and then you suffer, and you come back down and you go back again, and you get pulled out and then you come back down. You see, fight or flight happens because we react to our experiences, to our thoughts. The only reason we get sent to fight or flight is because we're getting entangled with the stories in our mind, with what is happening to us, and that's ego. But all you have to do is observe the thoughts, observe the feelings, make this an intention, make it a top priority, just to practice observing. Because every time you observe something, you create space, you create separation from that thing. And this space is another safe space. So what happens with people, especially with negative thoughts, is that they don't know how to deal with them. So they react to them, and then they get caught in this continuous struggle with their thoughts, continuous resistance. And what we resist persists. So they accidentally keep feeding their thoughts, and they're feeding their thoughts, and they're making them 1,000 times worse. And then now, because they started reacting worse to them, now they start feeling worse about them. And that now that there's more fear and worry, it creates even more negative thoughts. It keeps you stuck in this spiral of death until you just can't take it anymore. But we had the power the whole time. We just didn't realize we had the power. The power to observe. Think about like a parasite or a leech. A leech only has power when it's attached to you. But when you observe something, you create non-attachment. So what's going to happen? You want to build your observing muscles, which strengthens this space in between you and your experiences, you and your thoughts. And so when this muscle, when this space is not strong, you're going to get pulled into it. And you're going to get pulled into it over and over and over again until you practice this, until you learn how to observe your thoughts, observe your reality from a place of non-attachment. The more you practice this, the more you build this habit, you practice it through meditation, the less and less you get affected by anything, by any of your thoughts, by any of your experiences. If you're on the spiritual path, this is how it will go. So you'll continue to get pulled into the ego again and again, then you will awaken. And every time you awaken, every time you fall into this unconscious dream and then you snap out of it, you become more and more solidified in your true place as the awareness. Because who you are or what your true nature is right now, it's already free. It's not having any problems. It doesn't experience suffering. It's all good. But we do not recognize our true place as awareness. We live from the ego, so we're always getting caught in our thoughts and our experiences. The moment you recognize yourself as the awareness, you can begin stabilizing in this awareness space. And the more you can do this, the more you'll stop getting sent into fight or flight because you'll realize, oh, wait a minute, I am not my thoughts. I am not my feelings. There's feelings there, there's thoughts there, but they are not me because I am the awareness of them. I observe my thoughts. And when you disidentify with your thoughts, you don't feel the need to believe them. You don't feel the need to entertain them, to think about them. You become free. Wonderful. If I see one more comment about this gang stalking thing, I am going to ban you. You can ask me whatever you want. Doesn't mean I'll answer it. I'm not a father, not a husband. I am Ray. I don't know, maybe I'm tripping out. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend you, the previous comment. I just keep saying the same comment like 1,000 times. Sorry, Ocean of Devotion, if I offended you. Yeah, other people have been confirming the spam. Have you ever thought of facing your gang stalkers and approaching them with a camera? Okay. See what we got going on. I've drinking too many liquid deaths. I will be back in like 10 seconds or more.
That's not how that works. Yeah. Well,
I have returned. Have you all left me? Have you abandoned me? It's okay, I got another one. I shall be replenished. Look at this. Mint. Mm. Mm. Yeah. Mm. Wonderful. Mm. Deeply appreciate all of your kind words. They're very wonderful. Okay. How do you ask for help on the inside? I'm guessing you mean intuition. Just pray. Pray to whatever good. Open up a dialogue. It'll take care of the rest. Okay. How does one heal from toxic shame and anxiety? Toxic shame? Anxiety. Well, first things first, you got to embark on a healing journey. Do you want to heal? Gotta make, and even though it sounds funny, you got to make that decision. Because think about the logic here. If you want to be better, if you want to live a better life, well, then you can't keep entertaining shame. That's like throwing gasoline on a fire and expecting it to go out. And then wondering why it's so hot in here. So first things first, you got to take a stand for yourself and say, no, I'm not dealing with this any longer. I'm going to feel good. I'm going to embark on a healing journey. You set the intention to live a better life. And that right there, a lot of the work is done. Well, then the next step is, well, how do we heal? And you heal with love. You replace shame with love. An unconditional love at that. So you don't judge yourself for whatever you do. If you make a mistake or do something wrong, you understand that making mistakes is human, that you're going to make mistakes on your journey. It's going to happen. But if you have the intention to learn and grow, then it doesn't matter, because those mistakes will become opportunities to become the greatest version of yourself, to learn how to do things right. It's all about your attitude. Do you have an attitude of self-destruction where you do something wrong and then you spiral out of control about how bad of a person you are? Or do you have an attitude of, oh, okay, I just fallen off my horse for a moment. Let me get back on. Let me learn what went wrong. Simple, just attitude shift. But you got to make the decision to live a better life. Otherwise, you don't know what to tolerate. You don't know what, you won't be clear that toxic shame. Like when you have a shameful thought, you won't realize that, oh, I can't entertain this thought. This is nonsense. This is not helping me. For whatever reason, it helps when you're on a mission to get your life better. Because you start focusing on all the evidence that contributes to your best life. Like, okay, well, I got to stop entertaining shameful thoughts and start entertaining loving ones. Love heals all wounds. Love yourself to a better place. Should you stop trying to manifest and surrender to the divine? Good question. Can you see that? I don't think these things are separate. If you find yourself trying to force your manifestations, it is because you're not in alignment. You don't want to force something that's not for you. If you're born 5'6", you don't want to try to manifest being a football player or a basketball player. But the first thing you want to figure out is that what feels right to you. And what feels right to you will be far more effortless to manifest. Really, what manifestation is, it's about being certain of what you cannot yet see. So as Jesus said, pray as though you have already received. So a big part of surrender is, okay, there's something that I want. You have to assume you already have it. It's already yours, which it is. But if you give off the energy of, okay, I need to do this visualization or I'm not going to get what I want, you're coming from lack and scarcity energy. It's all about your energy. It's all about your state of being. If you're living from abundance, you'll attract more abundance. If you're trying desperately to do your manifestation techniques, then you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. So get clear on, where's my energy coming from? Am I really being desperate and needy? Am I trying too hard? Because that energy will prevent you from getting what, the exact thing that you want. That is why we surrender. We let go. Because when we let go, we're at peace, we're satisfied in the present moment, our energy is abundant. So basically, the best way to manifest is just discover what you want and be certain that it's already yours. And then just take the first step, surrender to the present moment, and move on with your day. I call this method of manifestation, thy will is law. Whatever you will to happen, it's already true. Now, this is probably the most advanced and the most difficult, but also the simplest at the same time. It's simply just assuming that whatever you want to have happen will happen, and being absolutely certain that it will. No doubt. And the reason that this is hard for people is because we have a lifetime of conditioning, of fears and doubts and worries and concerns. Oh, what if it doesn't happen? But think about Jesus performing miracles. He knew that it was going to happen. He took this to the extreme where he could make it happen instantly. Other people, most people, take some time to get there. But just assume what you want is already yours. And then just live from that energy. Because that is a state of abundance. That is how the version of you that has what you want is acting. That's how they're living their life. Thank you, my friends. Oops. The bee has fallen. The bee has fallen. And so the microphone. Well, what are you going to do? Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Wonderful. See what else we got going on here. You know. What's going on here? Mm. Mm. Wonderful. Wonderful. Mm. Oh, what's going on here? Mm. Raying. Yes. Is the mic quality good or bad? Not optimal. Well, that would be important to know. I am way behind. Huh? Man, you guys, so many comments. What do I think about magic? It's magical. I don't think it's a delay. It's the fact that there's so many comments that I'm like 45 minutes behind reading them. Think about if I answer one comment for 3 minutes, just like a whole bunch of comments that come later. So it's very easy to just. No, it's my. You're speaking in the background. Oh, I forgot to take this off. The reason why one keeps attracting certain type of people, religious people, toxic, high ego. So, I don't know you, but what I would assume is that if you're attracting these kinds of people, you're probably trying too hard to be spiritual. Just my judgment of you. I don't know you. I could be wrong. Because everybody's a reflection of us. They're reflecting different parts of ourselves, different personality traits. They're a reflection of our energy. So, I mean, only really you can ask yourself, what are these people trying to teach me about myself? Don't worry about them so much, but just worry about what you can learn from them. Because life is always teaching us, God is always speaking to us. It's just how well do we listen? So I'm trying to think. It's like, think about like a dream. A dream is full of symbols, and those symbols have meaning, but they don't make sense on the surface. But if you go into ChatGPT and you start talking to it about your dreams, you'll begin to see that they have really profound meaning in your life. Things you were kind of aware of, but not really. And in the same way, those people are symbols for certain things. All right. What's going on here? Sorry about that. My goodness. Okay, what do we got going here? So yeah, just reflect a bit. And still have this up here. In your reflection, you'll figure it out. Yeah, I was just all the way scrolled back. Ignoring, yes, like half the comments, not half, but it's just practically not possible to address every single comment. Cue into past. Cue into past lives. Well, yeah, you have to dive deep into yourself. I mean, I don't know how to do it, but I mean, I understand it logically. Let's think about it like this. Time for new markers. So imagine source as infinite intelligence. And you're connected to source. Here you are. Your mind is here. And the world is over here. There's this big wall between, like your soul, the deeper aspects of you, source. And what do they call it? They call this wall in the law of one the veil of forgetting. And so when you're in this form, when you're in your body, when you're in your mind, you forget all the stuff, all the past lives, and all that kind of stuff. So basically, theoretically, this kind of past life understanding would be like a superpower you get on the spiritual path. As you dive deeper into yourself, you start reconnecting with the aspect of you that has already lived all of these different lives. Like over here is like potential, infinite potential. It's like the higher self, for instance. Let's trade this out. The higher self is like the version of you that has already lived all of these lives. And you could say that it kind of comes back to help you on your journey by giving you guidance, by telling you what to avoid. But it has already experienced multiple lives, probably a lot. So, you kind of make your way back past this veil as you go deeper. I think it was the Buddha had experiences where he could remember all of his past lives, but it requires, I imagine, very deep meditation, a lot of practice, diving, full on into the spiritual path. But I don't really know too much about it. So if you look up Dolores Cannon, she used to do it with hypnosis. What does it mean if I overcome a fear? It means you shifted. You let go of something that was holding you back. Let me see. Hold on. Okay, that's a lot of comments. Hmm. Let me answer this real quick. Don't understand the difference between codependence and narcissism. The codependent needs others. It relies on others, right? The narcissist takes advantage of that and just takes all their energy. So it's the selfish prick, the selfless, kind of naive person. Both exist in the toxic relationship because, well, it's not healthy. The codependent needs to learn how to be selfish and put up boundaries. The narcissist needs to learn how to be more loving. Mm-hmm. I see. Interesting. Alex, I would go to somebody who knows what they're doing in terms of past life regression. And yeah, try that out. Seems like a very interesting thing. If you overcome one fear, it becomes easier to overcome others. You become stronger. Yeah. You're on a good path. You already know what to do. What does it mean if I take a lot of information but do nothing with it? No self-trust. No, it just means you're not applying what you know. You have a problem with taking action. So it's simple. It's remember the yin yang. There's two types of energy, and most people are imbalanced toward one. Like we all have strengths, we all have weaknesses. So, for instance, I'm a natural introvert. So I was in the same place for a long time. You naturally consume, which is yin energy. And because you're imbalanced toward this, you're weak towards this. This is the extroverted path. Those who are extra. So it's the balance between consuming and creating. Your next level up in life comes through integrating the yang energy by going out and expressing yourself and creating. And so all of our problems in life will come because we're too imbalanced toward one or the other. You got to use your strengths to develop your weaknesses. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just how life is. But what would be taking action on this path? Mm-hmm. Practice. Yes. Parts work. I have never heard of that before. Hello, Lawrence. what would be taking action on this path? Well, you can answer that. I mean, what calls out to you? I mean, it's pretty. I mean, just do what's right in front of you. Something will call to your attention and say, "Do this." Myers-Briggs types. Very good. Very good. Oh, it's Nate. Hello. I got your call. I was in the middle of the live stream, so I couldn't answer. Gabe was calling me. I thought we were going to do something Sunday. Mm. Thank you, my friend. A lot of ideas and creative solutions for projects with you, people. I mean, you could say it's because of ADHD, but you don't have to kind of claim that label. It's just, I mean, think about attention span. That's kind of what ADHD is all about. It's like you can't focus on anything. But if you think about it, if you're really interested in something, you can't help but focus on it. It's not that you can't focus, it's you just don't, you can't focus on things you don't care about. And I get that, you know, it's a problem with creative people. I have the same exact thing where I've got a million different ideas, things that I'd love to do, things that I want to do, and it's hard to choose one. But it's again with the balance and the energy thing. There's two energies fundamentally. There's chaos and there's order. All you have to do to fix like most of your problems in your life is realize where you are imbalanced. What you're telling me here, and with all creative people are naturally chaotic. There's no order, and so there's no ability to prioritize things. That is what order is. And so if you want to begin acting on your creative things that you love, you have to start putting things in order. Start developing a routine. Do kind of the same things every day. I mean, for a long time, I had all these things that I love to do. I love music, doing some content creation and different things. But without a stable routine, without order in your life, you don't get anything done. Because the work is going to take willpower if you don't have habits built, if you don't have a routine. And willpower is a limited resource. So you got to force yourself to start something, and that takes like a whole bunch of your willpower. And before you know it, you just don't feel like doing anything. So what you want to do is you want to start with just baby steps. Just show up to certain things. It's like if you want to write a book, don't try to write a chapter in a day. Just sit down on your computer and start. And that's it. Because that's the beginning of building a habit. So you don't have to, it's not about the result. It's about, really just showing up. But fundamentally, it's all about finding the imbalance. So for somebody who is, you got all these kinds of creative things you want to do, but you don't know where to start, you start by prioritizing. You start by building routines. You start by getting clear on what you want for your life. Chaos is vague. So if you have a vague vision for your life, you're not going to know what to cut out and what to keep in. You're not going to have the power of discernment. So the clearer you get on what you want moving forward, who you need to become, the life you want to live, then it's a lot easier to say, okay, don't need to do this, don't need to do that. What do I want first? Like for me, for instance, I went to school for a long time for music, but I realized that, okay, well, it's going to be hard to be really successful making music. And you got to go all in on something. So you have to focus on one thing at a time, one thing first. And then afterwards, you can go and do whatever else you need. So I started doing the content creation, became a spiritual teacher or whatever, and found success here first, then returned to the music later on. So the hard thing about it is that you got all these different passions, but you're going to have to kind of choose one, because the more you can focus, the more you will receive results. But the less you focus, you're going to have your attention spread out everywhere, and you're not going to be able to get anything done. So you got to cut out like 99% of all the things and say, okay, what is the one thing I want to do today? Or, you could cycle through them. For a few days, you might work on one creative project, and then you might be done with that for now. And then you'll have the inspiration to go do something else. Focus on that. But don't try to focus on a million different things at a time, because you won't get anything done. Hope that helps. What we got? Literally everything is a balancing act. Yep. It's like life is like walking a tightrope. If you try to lean too much on this side, you're going to fall. If you try to lean too much on this side, it's like the difference, spiritual people fall into this trap a lot, is that we get so attached to the spiritual things, we say, oh, okay, well, the earthly is bad. We got to get rid of the earthly. Not good. But these are just two opposite polarities of the same one thing. It's like trying to say up is good and down is bad. They're both equally important. You can't have one without the other. So if you're attached to spirituality, you're going to create a lot of problems in your life. You see this with people who kind of say spiritual things, but when you hear them talk, it's like, what are you saying? That's ridiculous. They're not grounded in reality. They're not down to earth. That's one of the reasons why the things I say resonate with a lot of people, because I used to be a creative person, my head up in the clouds, but then I realized where I was in balance. Oh, this is a problem. So I focused on rebalancing myself, and now I could take the spiritual wisdom, and it's practical for people's lives. It's not this kind of esoteric, I have no idea what you're talking about. That sounds cool, but most of what I talk about you can use practically in your day-to-day life. It's actually going to help you. Again, what we talked about earlier, ideas don't really mean anything, because when you're in the fire, when you're in a tough situation, ideas are not going to help you. Only the wisdom will be left. Everything else that is false, the knowledge, it's going to get burned away. You'll be left with wisdom. And that wisdom is what will guide you through the difficult situation, nothing else. And wisdom is understanding. And wisdom comes through experience. Wisdom is knowledge applied to real life experience. See, The best method to find a spiritual teacher. I mean, in truth, everything can be your spiritual teacher. In fact, your problems, your addictions, and your struggles will be your greatest spiritual teacher. But more practically, when the student is ready, the master will appear. Just be ready. And be open to receive. Because God works in this way where God will give you exactly what you need at the right time. But if we try to force things, if we try really hard to do this or that, we just get lost in our own nonsense. It's letting everything be an action. It's kind of not really. It's the opposite of action. Path of non-action. Yes, you have to make the first step. That's the only thing that matters. The journey can only be taken in the present moment. The reason that people procrastinate is because they get in their heads about it. But the moment you just take the first step, you build momentum. It's like going to the gym. If you don't feel like going to the gym today, all of that is a thought. You had a feeling, you judge the feeling, now you get caught in the story in your mind about, oh, okay, well, I'm just not going to go. Or you wrestle with yourself like, oh, well, I should go, but I don't want to. It's like, stop it. Just do what's in front of you, and you'll build momentum, and you'll naturally find yourself walking out of the door, doing what you need to do. But we judge our feelings and think that they're permanent, but you could feel one way in 5 minutes from now that's completely different from how you feel right now. I carry my phone. Virtual hugs. Yes. Yeah, notebook is good. I do whatever I can. Just notes, iPhone. Do I have music online? Not at the moment. Oh, this is a great question. I like this. What led you to spiritual awakening? How long did it take you to wake up? One word. Suffering. My awakening began when I was 19. I went to a rave and I did some drugs because I was doing rave drugs at the time. And so basically, what happened is I had these drugs and I was not being responsible. And so basically, what ended up happening was that after the rave ended, I went to go sleep in my car. It's like 3 a.m. And I started peaking. And if anybody's done, psychedelics or anything like that, you know that you can't sleep. So I was just sitting there alone with my thoughts and nothing but my thoughts and nowhere to run. And in that moment, I realized that I was just a bad person. Like I lived my whole life believing that I was good, but then I realized I couldn't think of a single good thing about myself. And so it was just being hit with that realization that completely destroyed everything. Everything that I knew to be true was wiped out from underneath me. And so from that point on, I just began struggling, or, every single day from the moment I was, awakened to the moment I fell asleep, I was just these just never ending negative thoughts, just these demonic attacks all day, all night. And this lasted until I was about 26. So about 7 years. And eventually I came to the spiritual teacher Muji, which triggered the awakening. From that point on, I experienced unconditional peace no matter what was going on. But for a while, I oscillated back to ego, back to, being present. So I oscillated for a while until eventually I just stabilized, in which now I don't ever get pulled back into the illusion again. It doesn't mean there's not frustration sometimes, doesn't mean there's not anger. In fact, I'm completely normal like everybody else. It's just I'm free from it all. There's no attachments. And so my default state is peace. And I'm not afraid if I'm having, if I'm struggling with something or if I'm having some anger or frustration, I'm not saying, oh, I shouldn't do this because I'm spiritual. It's just, oh, it's what it is. It's there. It's just life. It's all happening. There's nothing wrong. It's nothing bad. It's just is what it is. And it's just a place of complete acceptance, complete surrender to the present moment. Because you realize as you dive deeper, as you kind of explore your true self and you awaken, you realize that life is already perfect. But from the state of the ego, it's, you could never accept anything like that, because you look at the world and you say, oh, well, this is wrong, this is bad, this needs to change. And so it's like the ego's main thing is it judges. We judge things as right, as wrong. But when you realize that you're not your ego, you stop judging things. And the veil is lifted from your eyes and you see reality clearly. And you see that God's creation is perfect. Even with all the suffering and all the misery. From down here, from the earthly plane, it's tragic. There's a lot of bad things that happen. But from the higher spiritual perspective, from God's perspective, everything is perfect. And if you think about it, the dark and the light are equally important to the truth. You can't get rid of the darkness without also getting rid of the light. So it's, once you kind of really see this, your mind just kind of automatically begins realizing how everything is working out perfectly for your favor. You stop judging things as, oh, this sucks so much, I hate that this is happening to me, and you realize, oh, it's just exactly what I need for my highest spiritual growth. And you develop this sense of clarity that is like supernatural. It's just like everything is obvious. But the ego, again, is like a dark cloud. It veils our whole life in ignorance. And so it's hard to understand the truth sometimes. And basically what happens, it's like going from darkness to light. The ego is darkness, but your true nature is the light, the divine, the soul. So basically, you realize, okay, I'm not my body, I'm not my mind, but I'm the soul. I'm this deeper, more powerful aspect of myself that is unseen. So the reason that people have a hard time with it is because we're always living from our senses of only what the data that is coming in is telling us. And every once in a while, we get those synchronicities. We get these experiences that kind of wake us up out of the dream, out of the illusion. And once you see, you can't unsee. But, it's just, there's usually a triggering experience. And then you begin to wake up more and more and more until eventually you're fully awake and you become, free forever. Congratulations. Mm-hmm. How long? 2 hours. Mm. It's a good question. I definitely I think I addressed this earlier, but let me come. You gotta practice when things are going good. Because when you're in the fire, it's not, you're either prepared or you're not. And so once you're in a more peaceful place, it's good to reflect and figure out, okay, where did I go wrong? What could I do better? What's going on? So you could say, get serious about practicing when things are cool. It's like, think about meditation, for instance. We think that meditation, um, we think that meditation practice is the actual meditation, and it's not. Meditation practice is like, for a sport, you're just practicing with the team, you're doing drills and stuff like that. But the real meditation is in the big game when the poop hits the fan. And by how much you practice will determine how successful you get through that poop. So don't wait for a crisis to happen to get your stuff together. Just do practice. Be prepared. Be the most prepared version of you. Because when you're prepared, you're not worried so much about, the problems that are going to arise. Because you know that you can deal with them. That's where the confidence comes from. So another thing that happens is that people kind of eat spiritual fast food, meaning there's a million different spiritual ideas that we like and it's all cool and stuff like that, but we don't fully digest those ideas. So as I mentioned earlier, if you just have knowledge, that's a tree with shallow roots. So when the hard times come, you're just going to get blown away. So you want to begin focusing on like the three biggest spiritual truths that you know. And you go deep and you intentionally practice those spiritual ideas. See in your life where they're applicable. And remember that knowledge is not going to save you. Understanding is going to save you. And you can only understand through direct experience. In fact, it's the difficult situations that build wisdom, that build understanding. If you don't go through anything, you're not going to have wisdom. You're just going to have knowledge. So you want to, it's like the experiences that you go through on the battlefield that strengthen you. And if you can remember that, you kind of have a different attitude when the poop hits the fan. You realize, oh, wait a minute, I don't have to struggle with this. I don't have to fight it. It's like, oh, this is my opportunity to grow. This is my opportunity to learn. You either look at things as problems or opportunities. And it's just a little bit of a attitude adjustment. You stop focusing so much on what is negative. You start focusing on what is positive. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Thorny Nose. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you. See what's going on here. I'm going to post this live stream in the community, so if you ever want to go back to it. Nice. Flying on mushrooms. Enjoy the ride. There's so many good pieces of advice. Just be. Let me know if the mushroom gods have anything to say to me as well. Every time I hear people talk about their experience, I don't know what it is. It's like I instantly get tapped into that realm. Yeah, that's the question that I would have asked. What are the shrooms saying? How can you use your smoking addiction to learn? Why are you smoking? Not in like an accusation kind of way, but like literally, what is that addiction serving in your life? Because there's a reason. For instance, I used to smoke in high school for whatever reason, but I quit automatically without trying because there was no traumatic attachment to it. The pain of it was way outweighed the pleasure of it. So for me, it was just effortless. Got rid of it. But for you, if you have some kind of traumatic attachment to something, it's hard to let it go. So you got to get to the root of the problem. That was a good response. Great response. I appreciate you, my friend. It's a really great answer right there. Kind of difficult to read for a moment, but it's very true. Why do you need a teacher? Oh, because I have a problem. Who has a problem? Yes, it's the assumption that something's wrong with you. No, I'm not a magician. Well, not so much of practicing magic. Great advice. It was just. Oh, I see. Mm. What do you think? What do you think about it? You could just kind of experiment, be curious about it, see what happens. I'm not sure. ask only one question, what would that question be? I mean, I don't really have any questions in terms of like the big picture stuff. Receive the answer automatically. It's a great question. I guess my question would be, what would be my answer to this question? So the one question I would ask is, what would be the answer to the one question that I would ask? Because I don't know. But it would be cool to know. Thank you. I don't want to get your name wrong. Let me see. Natish? Thank you, my friend. Yes. I wonder if wonderful, my friend. Hold on one second, my fellows. I'll be back. I have returned. You guys can let me know if this background music is annoying and I'll turn it on. When it's headphones. Yes. Advanced review, my friends. Okay, let me know if this background music now. What about now? strong mind. I don't know what that means. Okay, so you want to be rich, abundance. Very simple. Really deep impact. Okay, and all be abundant. Okay, oh, so we have a conscious mind. Okay. And the unconscious is our body. Now, how our system works is that the body speaks the language of feelings, feels. The conscious mind interprets information in the form of patterns. So, as a survival mechanism, our body records our experiences. Every time we have a strong feeling about anything, our body takes a snapshot and records whatever pattern you experience and pairs it with whatever feeling, positive or negative. And all of these snapshots that your body takes of you over your life becomes your unconscious identity. So you have these two identities. You have your conscious identity and you have your unconscious identity. Your conscious identity is the person you believe you are. Your unconscious identity is the person your body believes you are. So what happens is that there's only one reason that anybody is broke in the world. Only one reason is that you have a negative relationship with money. Think about a friend, or not a friend, an enemy. If you don't like somebody, do you want to be around them all that much? Of course not, because you have a negative relationship with that person. You want to avoid them. So money is avoiding you. The only reason that people stay broke is because they've had more negative experiences with money than positive ones. So all we have to do is, well, let me go for it this way real quick. Think about the conscious mind like a cowboy, and think about the unconscious like a horse. What happens is the cowboy wants to go one way, but the horse is like, no, I'm not going that way because there's trauma from past negative experiences, so it's afraid. So what happens is that consciously we try to do something. We try to, let's say, live in abundance, become a new version of ourselves. But we're fighting against this horse that has a different idea of who we are. And if who you want to be is not aligned with who your body thinks you are, it's not going to happen. Because at the end of the day, the horse does what it wants. But you, as the conscious mind, the one riding the horse, you have to tell the horse what to do. So what has happened is that if your unconscious has painted a picture of you that is of lack and scarcity, meaning you have a problem with resources, with survival, it means your body thinks you're like a scavenger animal, like a little mouse. Imagine if you were living in a desert where resources were actually scarce. If you were to be abundant, you would waste and you would die. So, as a survival mechanism, your unconscious mind will sabotage you from ever living in abundance because you're going against what it understands to be true. But the force is blind. It doesn't know anything. It doesn't know anything other than the information that you feed it. The moment everything changed for me, I spent years in lack and scarcity, making a few bucks, losing it all, constantly back to zero, back to zero, back to zero. Because for whatever reason, I had negative experiences with money in the past, so that trauma was stored in my body. All I had to do, once I understood the concept, it's very simple. All you got to do is feel differently about this, because the body speaks the language of the feelings. So if you want to tell the force what to do, you got to speak its language. And this works for anything. If you're bad at social skills, it's because you've had more negative experiences around people than positive ones. So there's a negative feeling about it. And if there's a negative feeling about it, it says to your unconscious, look out, there's danger. You have to be careful. So that's where anxiety comes from. Anxiety is a survival response, telling you to be aware because of past negative experiences, in this case, the social things. But you might have anxiety about money as well. Once you understand this, it becomes very easy to change your life because all you have to do is start feeling better about this. Think about money for a few seconds. What is the first thing that comes up? Do you start feeling a bit of anxiety? Do you start getting a little bit worried? Oh, I got bills is the first thing that comes to your mind. It means you have a negative relationship with money. You can tell if you have a negative relationship with something. If you begin to think about it, the first thing that pops up automatically is negative because the unconscious produces automatic thoughts. So what happens is that as you begin to reprogram your unconscious mind, you naturally have positive thoughts of whatever this is, in this case money, and negative ones. So what you want to do, because you only have power over two things in life, your conscious thoughts and your conscious actions. These are the only two mechanisms to change. Nothing else matters. Not your situation, not what you're experiencing. The only thing that matters is you. You either have to change your thoughts or you change the way you act. And so what happens if you want to be in abundance? The main thing, every time you come into contact with money, you receive this information. Okay, there's money involved in what I'm going through right now. You consciously repeat positive thoughts and you work yourself up into an emotional state, a positive one. And this begins telling the unconscious, oh, we're good. We're living in abundance. It's great. But let's say you get a bill in the mail and you're like, oh no, I don't know how I'm going to pay this. I'm worried. You're telling your unconscious the exact thing you're trying to avoid. So you have to live by faith, not by your senses. Because if you live by your senses, you're going to be a slave to your environment. You have to create with your imagination, with your mind. So what happens? Let's say you got to go buy some groceries. As you're handing over the money to the grocer, you positively think, oh, I'm so blessed that I have money to give. I love this. I'm so happy right now. This is amazing. If you don't work yourself up with your positive thoughts, the default programming is going to take over. And you're going to be like, oh, I know this is a lot of money, but, that is what keeps you stuck. So long as you're working against your unconscious, you will struggle forever. And you see people, they struggle their whole lives. The price of ignorance is slavery and death. If you don't know your power, you have no power. You have the power to create any life that you desire, regardless of your external circumstances. But you gotta know how. You gotta reprogram your unconscious mind. Because there's all kinds of trauma in there, all kinds of conditioning that is being reflected in your current situation in life. So if something is happening that you don't enjoy, you don't prefer, it means that There needs to be a change, a fundamental identity shift. You can even do it too, like put money on your screensaver, like a dollar bill or $100 bill or something like that. And you just look at it and you smile, even though it seems silly. You know what you're doing. You're reprogramming your unconscious mind. You start laughing. You start feeling good, and your body begins to say, "Oh, okay, well, now they feel good about money. There must be plenty." And so your mind now focuses on all the abundance that is already here. There is infinite scarcity in the universe and infinite abundance all the time. It's not about what you think is true, it's about what you're tapped into, it's about what you focus on. And if you have been conditioned to focus on negativity, you will only get more negativity. Just remember, you focus, you get more of what you focus on. Because where attention goes, energy flows. And energy is our creative power. That is how we create our life. So if you focus on problems, you're going to get more problems. If you focus on lack and scarcity about how much you don't have, you're going to get more of that. That's why it is said, for those who have, more will be given. And those who have not, even what they have will be taken. Because if you're born into abundance, all you see is abundance, so you create more of it. And if you're born in lack, all you see is lack, so you create more of it. So it's taking our power back, realizing that we've been conditioned to focus on negativity and that you have the power to change it. You don't have to delude yourself, you just have to focus on all the good things already in your life. And you start feeling grateful for what you have. Even if you only have one thing, you can have 99 things going wrong and focus on the one thing going right, and everything will be okay. You'll get yourself out of any situation. But if you have 99 things going wrong or right, and you focus on the one thing going wrong, you'll destroy it all. The moment you get the force on board, whatever you want is effortless. You don't have to try. And I experienced it for myself. I struggled for a long time. And then reprogrammed my unconscious mind, and it became effortless. Effortless abundance. Always. And what abundance means is that you always have exactly what you need, exactly when you need it. It's not about having billions. It's just about having what you need. Hope that helps. Let me know when you buy your first Lamborghini. Oh, you missed the one. What's screen sharing? Okay. Still suffering in relationships. Awareness. Oh, perhaps you're not aware as you thought. So, it's a weird question. So, you have air energy, meaning you're able to find some non-attachment. You're able to find freedom. Make sure there's no problems. So, okay. Except, I don't understand why you say this mic is not working well. I'm just going to turn it up. Blast it. Yes. Can you hear me now? Hello? Yeah, I'm not sure why this the mic is wacky. Okay. Please let me know if okay, good enough. So the air sign is not attached. Doesn't feel right. Well, I would say first of all, are you doing the things you love, or are you doing things you think you have to do? Because if it doesn't feel right, that means that there's not an alignment there. If you do the things you love, it feels right. Yeah, I would be clear on the things you love to do. The headphones don't actually do anything. I'm probably still a little bit behind. Pretty good. Sorry. Wonderful, wonderful. Dissociation. Let me talk about this. It's like the difference between dissociation and non-attachment. It's all about your identity. Non-attachment is awareness. Dissociation is mind. Mhm. So, what happens? So when the mind dissociates, it gets lost in this kind of dream-like reality. It checks out. But non-attachment is clarity. It's just like a hazy fog. And this is like the opposite. So the problem is our identification. I am, it's like identifying with our mind, the story in our head about what is going on. So you could say, I'm just trying to think, think about it this way. If the story of the current situation of your life is really bad, your mind is going to want to check out. to avoid actually having to deal with a lot of this kind of suffering. And dissociation will help a little bit kind of numb the pain. The only problem is just like you can't live like that. Like we've been talking about, dissociation is chaos. And so, again, in order to return to balance, to heal this, we have to integrate the opposite energy. It's order. You're out of it, so you want to be in it. You want to build. It's like if Humpty Dumpty fell off the wall, fell into pieces, it's going to be in chaos. It's like, oh, what's going on? So you got to kind of step by step put the pieces back together. Almost like putting a plan to action, getting your stuff together. One step at a time. What I would suggest is ground yourself in your body. Get yourself out of your headspace. Do some exercise that'll provide a little bit of relief, a little bit of clarity, in which you can then proceed to deal with whatever you got going on. The only reason we dissociate is because we're living a life we don't want to live, or we're in a situation we don't want to experience. So, first thing we kind of have to have some short-term relief, and then, figure things out from there. Let me see any questions. Yeah, I haven't really been reading too much from TikTok or Instagram. My apologies. Mm. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Much love. Okay, I see. Yes, my apologies, my friends. I don't see the comments from Instagram or TikTok, so I got to keep turning to those screens, but there's so many comments that it's just not possible. Let's see. Lifting, yeah. Lifting weights. Profound. Wonderful. Wonderful. Mm. Well, my friends, I'm a little bit tired. I'm losing my juice. Ooh, let's do this. Time for new markers. Find me on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok. Just look up I Am Rey. I say it all the time. Can't forget it. Or maybe you can. Okay, got one-on-one guidance. Want to talk to me? If you need some help on your spiritual journey or just your life's journey in general, and you don't want to stay stuck for months and months and months, struggling for no reason, don't do it. Do this if you want. And then we also got a free community. Frey community. Where you can talk to other like-minded people. It seems like these live chats are very good for discussions. I'm very happy that you're all talking with each other. Very nice. Very good. Very good. Stay juicy. Yes. I like this. It's just what I got going on in my life. Once you're in the momentum of things, you kind of just keep doing it. So I would ask yourself if what do you want moving forward? Maybe it's time for a career change, or maybe just a temporary break. Could be just take a rest for a few days. You'd be back to normal. The community is in the description. All of this stuff in the description, wherever you are, or link in bio. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Just trying to make sure you're all good. Appreciate you all. Almost 3 hours. Wow. All right, my friends. Much peace and many blessings. And remember,